Hello everyone. The sun finally came out today and it cured my seasonal depression, so woohoo for that. Also thank you for all the support and lovely comments you leave and left on the last video, and all the support you've shown me in this transitional phase in general, and thank you for the love you show the material and for interacting with the energies. Some of you have been asking for my address. I cleared up the mystery. Apparently, it's too far out on the countryside for Spanish mail to deliver here, but I'll get a post box in town soon, and then you'll be able to mail me if you still want to, and of course that's most welcome. Thank you. Um, then I've decided to try to go without Facebook for a little while because I feel there's a lot of dark and unpleasant energies going on over there that seem to entangle themselves with this practice, and I'm really trying to build something positive here. So I'll just try to focus on that instead, and thank you guys so much for keeping up with the material. And on that note, instead of engaging polemically with this stuff, I think it's better to try to offer some inspirational and inspiring ways to maybe approach these issues where we seem to become stuck as a race. And who better to do that than our galactic friends? So let's hear about Arcturian politics from our friend Umblam of the Arcturian Council, and I hope we will learn something good from it. Yes, hello friends, it is I, back with you again, though I never leave you, because I am, in a sense, a part of a race that is omnipresent at this present moment. We have developed far into our timeline and progress, but we have also come from humble beginnings. Much like you, our race was occupied with the experiment of differential consciousness, the idea of separation, and thereby the idea of accumulating value through possession. See, we were never as material aligned a species as humankind, and so we moved into that stage of hoarding for ourselves instead attention. But for some of the members of our species, this idea of attracting the admiration and attention of others and thereby exalting themselves over them became a very tempting proposition that they couldn't resist. And so we too had our experiments with demagogy. We undertook some projects that were not helpful. Among them were the construction of the gravitational accelerator that was supposed to pull us a little closer into orbit of Arcturus in order to speed up the biological processes that we had begun to explore and master in our exploration of material existence on our planet. And so this project, it didn't go well for us. Well, it went well in the sense that we learned something from it, but parts of our planet became uninhabitable for quite a long time, generations, before we figured out how to alleviate the effects that this experiment had had. But see, it is not necessarily that you need to align yourself with selfishness or altruism. It is instead that you need to align yourself with the idea that there is a collective purpose seated in each and every one of you as an individual, and that collective purpose is carried out when you align with your heart space. Entering into the fifth dimension as we did, as you are now doing, we realized that everything is essentially contractual, that energies lock themselves off in spaces that you call shapes, and in that shape they undertake a type of negotiation with the rest of the all in order to exist for a little while and to contribute with their shape, their unique energy and framework to the creation of existence. Yes, you see, you have not yet mastered these energies, and as the barking of rabid dogs distracts the channel we are coming through, at the present moment we remind you that your animals, especially your dogs, they pick up on your subtler energies and attitudes, and they are frenzied at present. The thing going on in the collective human body is that feeling of frenzied stress. You could relate it to that state you have described as shell shock or PTSD. That is to say, an aberrant running wild of the nervous system with no place or no direction to go with the anxiety produced. But this anxiety itself is an emotion that can be transacted into different sensations. Realize that it is essentially an energetic rising, something unsettling you, much like the lid on a boiler when the water begins to boil. And so when we moved into this space, it also took for us a lot of redirecting into other projects of creation. And so this is the place you are all moving into, that the surplus energy that you have been seated with, and that so many of you have been dealing with by the very fact that you have been isolated or brought out of your usual circumstances. This energy, it is to be turned into higher orders, and these higher orders, they spring forth from emotional creativity, meeting the intuition of beauty that is so very human and that we appreciate so much for sharing your experiences with you. When you build a society where you allow yourself to be an unfolding individual, then you come to a place where there is no immediate barrier between the needs of the one and the needs of the many. Because know that these impulses of greed, of fear, of lack, of strife and of violence, of vitriol and of hatred, these are all residue energies that stem from the project of amnesia, that is to say the negative way of describing the Ascension project, your fall into madness and darkness, only to arise again. There is a purging promised in this present moment. You are allowing yourself to come into an instinct of surrender. And the instinct of surrender, it has been transmitted to you as the way to gain insight into and access to the clarity and the serenity of the divine. And yet, it is so hard for you to allow yourself to surrender into that which is exactly everything, and that everything is greater than your personal vision of the world. It is something that wants you to accept how it created you specifically to enter into a role of being, you might phrase it. And therefore, know that you do not need to think out your life. You do not need to plan out your ideological stance or who you like or who you dislike. You simply need to go into that beating pulse ahead of you, calling you from afar and yet so close that its voice is the most comforting and intimate thing you could ever know. I leave you with this message for this day, sweet humans, and I bless you. I and all of my fellow brethren in the Arcturian Council, we indeed all love you greatly, and we are so appreciative of the things that you share with us. Be therefore blessed and feel loved on this day, sweet humans.